Hello! I wanted to combine a book tag and a reading wrap-up together to get a chance to revisit everything I've read this year so far. This tag is by Voyage Reading. Let's get right into it. Question number 1. How many books have you read so far? 20. Question number 2. Have you already found a book you think might be a 2023 favorite? I've been reading Narnia books since the autumn, and I read 2 during these 3 months. The Voyage of the Dawn Trader and The Silver Chair. I must say that I really love these books. I read them as a child, but have already forgotten almost everything about them, which has worked out kinda nicely. The characters, the themes and the storylines have all been really magical to read as an adult as well. Question number 3. Least favorite book of the year. All in all, I have been reading books that I've really enjoyed during these 3 months. I attended to a book club recently and read a prose poetry book which was kinda difficult. It was called Huolenpitoja and told a story about a perfectionist lady taking a holiday in a faraway spa. I didn't really much like that one. Tied with this would be Almost Adulting, which is a memoir kind of book and started out fun but then didn't really give great advice in my opinion. Number 4. Most read genre so far. Literary fiction. Number 5. A book that surprised you. I think all of the books have surprised me in some level. I pick Our Missing Hearts because it really surprised me how political and dystopian it was. I have read everything by Celeste and was prepared for more focus on the mother-son relationship as the dust cover kind of promised. Nevertheless, I was not a bit disappointed. Number 6. Book that's come out in 2023 already that you want to read but haven't yet. I have many for this, of course. I want to read Christy Tate's second biography called b.f.f. Then I want to read Immortality, a love story by Leena. It's a sequel to the Anatomy, which I read last summer. Gorgeous covers for both of the books. Then I want to read the new Finnish translation to The Last Thing He Told Me, which is called Suojele häntä in Finnish. I actually started this one already last night and I really love the story and I'm so excited to read it in my first language. I also want to read the Finnish translation of Marie Kondo's new book, Kurashi, and Sinun tähtesi täällä by Jenni Haukio, which is a memoir about her life as a spouse of Finland's president. Question number 7. One goal you made that you're succeeding at. The only reading goal for me is to finish this reading challenge, which is by a Finnish library. It has 50 prompts for the whole year and I get to fill them in whichever order I decide, and also vary the prompts if need be. A couple of prompts I've already done. A book about lady on a journey, a book that has a weekday or a month in the title, a book I was supposed to read last year, a book that has an unusual boy or a man. Number 8. One goal you made you need to focus on. That is prompts left on my list. Lots of these are super hard. I might have to modify them a little. A classic from Sweden, Norway or Denmark. A book which title is connected to water. A book with a place you've been to. And a book about Ukraine. Number 9. Bookish influencers you recommend. Rachel Catherine and Leena here on YouTube. And then my friend Ulla on Instagram and also on TikTok, even though I don't have a TikTok account. Her account is called Tarinannuppuja. I'll leave them all in the description. Then a short introduction of all the 20 books I've read this year so far. The Signature of All Things by Elizabeth Gilbert. This was the first book of the year, kind of a giant choice. I started it in the end of December and had it with me while we were visiting family during the Christmas break. And now it associates with me with the holidays in my mind. I think that's super fun when that happens. That's why I always want to have a book with me when I'm farther away from home. The story about this scientist woman was weird, but then really believable enough. It was great escapism, even though I didn't really care for the characters or attach to them. To All the Boys I've Loved Before trilogy by Jenny Han. I watched all the movies back to back during my Christmas break and wanted to read the trilogy as well for the first time. I have to say I actually prefer the movies. I think the dramaturgy is done so well. I also prefer that the movies are taking place on the west coast of United States. I just personally find it super fun. Of course, the books have more plot twists that kind of make sense to the story, and I really enjoyed my stay with the book trilogy as well. All Things New by John Eldredge. I love John Eldredge's books so much. This was a new translation in Finnish, and of course I waited eagerly to get it from the library and read it as fast as I could. This is a Christian non-fiction book about Jesus' coming kingdom and how everything is made new in a way we don't usually even think about. I would recommend this especially if you are someone who is afraid of the thought of Jesus coming back. Pimeät, Kuut by Tommi Kinnunen. This would be called Dark Moons if it would be translated. This one was another pick of the book club I've been part of, and something I wouldn't picked up for just myself. I find Finnish literature to be often very dark, and I find it really hard to find the humor in the stories, even though some people really like that way. This was a story about a Finnish teacher in Lapland after the World War II, and even though I didn't really attach to the story, it provoked a really great conversation in book club meeting, which was of course the most important part. I really loved being a part of a book club and discussing literature together without feeling rushed or feeling not heard in the group chat situation. Those situations are kind of rare. You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. Recommended by Rachel Catherine, of course. I even got a chance to read it before she did, which was kind of surprising. Shout out to her, she is amazing. You Deserve Each Other was kind of how to lose a guy in 10 days in a book form, and it was fun to read. I would have hoped that the plot parts with the mother-in-law would have been a little bit more believable. Häpeä by Emilia Kujala. Shame to be translated. This was a tiny self-help book discussing shame. It was a topic I've been really interested in, so it was useful to read. I still prefer Emilia Kujala's second book to this one. It has more eye-opening points and it's a little bit longer as well. Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I finally got my hands on this one and really enjoyed it. I read this while road tripping in Western Finland, and I just loved the association with the different trips and books, as I already said. I liked the way Emily Henry described the protagonist and made her not perfect and not sunshiny and kind of controlling, and to me it made her all the more believable. Also, all the details about her home and this tiny village were really fun to read about. And yeah, I did cry at the end. That was so out of the blue. I didn't really anticipate I was going to cry, but I did. The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. Even though this was a great novel, now looking back after about 2 months, I don't really remember that much about it. I guess I just didn't connect to the story on an emotional level. The story about these two sisters and their daughters was very believable, and the mystery elements of who left, why and where were really gripping, especially in the first half of the book. The Voyage of the Dawn Trader by C.S. Lewis. The third Narnia book. It was again very enjoyable reading experience, full of adventure and deep themes. I loved using my lunch breaks as a primary school assistant to read these. And The Silver Chair by C.S. Lewis. The fourth book is about two kids from our world getting into Narnia to find the Lost Prince. My absolute favorite character of the book was Palulam. He was unintentionally such a funny guy and a wholehearted hero. I definitely recommend reading Narnia. Our Missing Hearts by Celeste. I already talked about this one a little bit. I could add that I really loved all the storytelling elements with the mom and the librarians. The cat story was especially memorable to me. One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I prefer other Taylor Jenkins Reid novels. I mean, the concept of a lady who thought her husband was dead, but then he wasn't, and he comes back right when she's about to get married to this other guy is truly very unique and interesting. I just think the concept would have worked better in a longer form or just slightly different form, because it is so complex and difficult. I felt like many things were kind of just rushed over and it got me very annoyed. The City of Girls by Elizabeth Taylor. Another very chunky one from Elizabeth Taylor during these 3 months. This has a very magical feeling at many points. Our main character Vivian moves to the New York City after she fails at college in the 1940s. Then she moves in with her aunt who owns this theater company and starts her wild life in NYC. The weird thing about this book was that the whole story was a letter to this younger lady who wanted to know what her father had meant to Vivian, and her father had passed away recently, so she couldn't ask him anymore. But the story didn't really get that until maybe like the latest quarter of the book. That was so weird. Huolenpitoja by Eeva åkerblad and Tainaron by Leena. These were for the book club, same book club session actually. I had read Tainaron before at the uni and really liked it. It gave me kind of Moomin vibes at some point, and it did really again. It's a story about this weird place, Tainaron, and discusses kind of philosophical themes among explaining how this weird city works. Huolenpitoja was not my jam, as I already said. A member of the book club said that she had read it twice and the second time was so much better. It might have been the case for me as well. But I really don't think I'm gonna get this one another chance, because I just want to move on with my life. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I laughed out so many times while reading this one. I enjoyed the dialogue of the two main characters so much. As a writer, it's always so fun to get insight into the book industry, and Emily Henry is really great at giving those in the midst of her romance stories. I like her writing style a lot. The only problem is that she has so many characters and themes. Sometimes those points of views change too quickly, or the problems solved too quickly to my taste. Almost Adulting by Arden. Humoristic self-help about adulting. This was entertaining at first, but then really didn't get to actual helpful points in my opinion. Healing Your Aloneness, Finding Love and Wholeness Through Your Inner Child by Erika Chopich and Margaret. The topic of inner child is often vaguely discussed in psychotherapy, and it's another topic I've been really interested in lately and wanted to learn more about it. The examples of actual situations were really interesting, although the general style of writing felt very outdated and annoying. I guess it might have been the translation as well. Alright, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. See you later.